Hello, today is June 21st and it is 7:02 p.m. Today I want to make a video about how basically what the entire quote-unquote investigation is about. It cannot be about running an investigation based on crimes, first of all. That has to be made clear, mainly due to the fact that anyone who could even remotely have said anything bad or taken part in anything bad are all running around with law enforcement right now as we speak with sex schemes and money fraud. Sex schemes that started with Uncle Joey's in-laws since the year 2001, aggressively run in the year 2023 at the November 2023 funeral for Uncle Joey, almost as if it was part of law enforcement's job description. Money fraud that has been going on for years and years, and it's still going on until this very day today. Money fraud that was still going on in the year 2023, with money being defrauded and stolen from innocent Americans and then wire transferred to law enforcement's own friends. Basically, the thing about it is just the fact that, there is no investigation that's been run since the year 2001. Instead, law enforcement's been BFFs with every single individual I've ever known to run sex schemes and money fraud with those individuals, both of which are still ongoing till this very day today. Before I get to the point on what this investigation, quote unquote, is really all about, I have to make it clear that there is none that has been run. So basically, even if someone did say anything bad around me when I was a child, since I was a child during the when the war occurred in 2001, I was only an 11-year-old child. Now, I always go back to this subject mainly due to the fact that all the false testimonies have been caught. November 28, 2025, fully fabricated by law enforcement. They knew that they were going to fabricate something against me before I even went to Russia, and so they did. And after that, it was numerous more lies that they had already confessed to the government informant as being lies that my dad, the Greedy Framer sisters, had already confessed to the government informant as being lies. Then they tried greedy tactics like March 7th, at 10:41 a.m., 11:06 a.m., and 2:07 p.m., sending me a porn star's picture with Farrah the Greedy Framer's name on it. That disgusting, ugly old woman trying to commit incest with me in exchange for illegal assurances of money. And then you also have on March 9, 2026, Farrah the Greedy Framer trying to get me to marry her weirdo, ugly-looking daughter. And then on April 9, 2026, 2:27 p.m. and also 2:47 p.m., Farrah the Greedy Framer trying to get me to marry her weirdo, ugly-looking, abnormal daughter. Now, seriously, the thing about it is, after these things to try to greedily get the money were all run out, she went right back to trying to make more lies against me, made it very aggressively, especially my dad, the Greedy Framer. He would be like, no, this time I'm telling the truth, only for the phone conversations to be retrieved and us to find out that those were lies as well. Now, the thing about it is, it wasn't just her. March 10th, 2026, Afreen, my dad, the Greedy Framer's other sister, big, fat, ugly old woman, the predator, also sending me sexually explicit pictures of a woman resembling her. That day and every single day after March 10, 2026. Now, except for that, these people just recently, starting June 16 at 10:56 p.m., Farrah the Greedy Framer has been trying to get me married to her daughter. I said it June 16th, literally like, what, 5 days ago, and I told her, like, I'm not interested in your ugly, abnormal looking daughter. She's still been going at it. Even yesterday, June 20th at 3:13 p.m., she sent me another advertisement for Zorro, for her abnormal looking daughter named Zara, for me to marry her. It's literally almost like force, because I said no since like the past 5 days. Basically, these are the narrators in the trial. People that are switching between extreme envy and extreme greed, and extreme envy, everything has been found out to be complete, total falsehood, lie, and fabrication. And then extreme greed is trying to get me to forcefully marry their daughter. And then after that, you know, your phone conversations had to be retrieved, only for us to find out and me telling the judge, sir, your honor, you're going to find out from the phone conversations retrieved, every single thing said was a lie. Played for a fool again. Anyways, so these people switching between extreme envy and extreme greed, and the greed right now is literally from yesterday, June 20th, where for the Greedy Framer was trying to get me to marry her abnormal looking ugly daughter. But we also have law enforcement back to their greedy tactics. Just yesterday, June 20th, I'm sorry, 2 days ago, June 19th at 4:27 p.m. 2 days ago, June 19th at 4:27 p.m., law enforcement started with the Truist Bank ad again, just like how they did starting June 29th, because June 29th, 2025, due to which I knew that on the night of June 28th, 2025, I just won my case. So basically, law enforcement and all these people that are supposed to be narrators in the trial have switched between from extreme envy of making false testimonies and lies against me to now extreme greed of making trying to get me to marry their daughter, obviously for money, illegal assurances of money before my brain savant would get freed, or giving illegal assurances of money to law enforcement June 19th at 4:27 p.m. with the Truist Bank ad. Obviously, these are real ads, real askings. No one asked for someone to marry their daughter. And we also have someone like Miss Deb on June 17th at 9:50 p.m. June 17th at 10:32 p.m. Ashley's Furniture ad asking me to marry her daughter Ashley, who's already married, basically trying to kick out her son-in-law for me, which I had already said in the start that the day Miss Deb finds out that my brain savant's about to get freed, she will kick out her son-in-law to try to get me to marry her daughter, which was a little unbelievable, since it is a very strange thing to do. You would kick out your son-in-law who's already married to your daughter to get someone to marry your daughter whom you're arguing in court against, that their brain savant should not get freed. And Miss Deb is saying people of his religion have done bad things, so his brain savant should not get freed, which was, I'm sure, a very unbelievable thing for people to understand at that time. Why would she kick out her son-in-law? But right now, it kind of looks like from June 17th at 10:32 p.m., Ashley's Furniture ad, a girl looking over a mattress bed, saying big letters, Ashley's Furniture. Miss Deb wants me to marry her daughter. So I was right about that. As soon as strange and bizarre as it might have sounded, that the woman arguing against you in court saying that your brain savant should not get freed at any cost is actually going to kick out her son-in-law for you, yes, that did happen on June 17th at 10:32 p.m. And the thing about it is just the fact that the reason is basically due to the fact that artificial intelligence had scanned my brain, and they marked my brain savant as being the most rare and profitable in the world. Triple savant, encompassing innovation, photographic memory, and focusing. I tested it out on August 9, 2022 for 6 hours because law enforcement was forced to lower the air drugging on that flight for 6 hours, fearing mid-flight turbulence. And while they did that, law enforcement also hit my foot like right over here, really brutally, with energy weapon, torture tools, the entire flight to discourage me from being able to study. But I did not stop, obviously, because it was the first time I had ever tested it out, literally the first time I'd ever tested out my brain savant. So for the entire 6 hours, I just kept studying. These, of course, were locked on that flight, mainly because they could still use the energy weapon, torture tools. They just were scared to use air drugging on that flight out of fear that it might cause mid-flight turbulence, a mid-flight medical emergency on another passenger on that flight. So basically, the law enforcement kept discouraging me from doing so by hitting my foot really brutally, using their energy weapon torture tools for 6 hours. But I studied for 6 hours because it was the first time I had ever used my brain savant. Literally, like a third arm came out of my body. So law enforcement obviously did not disclose the results of that for like another 8 months or so, till like May 2023. And when they did, people started running after me. The thing about it is, all these people are all working due to extreme envy, and now it's been proven, because their extreme envy has proven shifted over to extreme greed. Miss Deb, Fire the Greedy Framer, offering the big fat ugly predator, sending me Hershey Hotel and Resorts on June 17th at 7:23 p.m. Yeah, these people are all working on extreme envy, and now they've shifted over to extreme greed. Very disgusting extreme greed, by the way, with incest and things of that sort nature, try to get illegal assurances of money in any way, shape, or form possible. Yeah, and Miss Deb, who was claiming about me terrible things, by the way, and saying racist comments, saying that people of my religion have done bad things, and so my brain savant should get locked up. Very terrible thing to say about someone, especially considering the fact that Miss Deb knew my entire history, that ever since I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, all I've done my entire life, work hard with my mother. That was literally all I have ever done. And I used to work two jobs. One of them was with Miss Deb, and I used to raise money for my school. And after I would raise money for my school, I would go sleep on the side of the streets near my overseas pharmacy school after raising money for it. And I didn't even have money to buy myself a new pair of $20 shoes from Walmart. And Miss Deb used to see that, and she would just look at my shoes and she would be like, "Son, you're going to be a rich man someday." And I would always be hopeful that Miss Deb would not be able to see my broken shoes, which she was. And my point being that people change with money. When Miss Deb found out about the artificial intelligence potential that artificial intelligence had marked for my brain savant after August 9, 2022, she started running after me for her daughter, starting July 1st, 2023, as soon as I came back from Saudi Arabia, where I had to go because they kept hitting my head very brutally to try to damage my brain savant after seeing women like Miss Deb trying to pay for my groceries at Walmart right before I went in May 2023. I first tried to go to India, but their visa was really hard to get, and they were bludgeoning my head very brutally using energy weapon torture tools. So I went to Saudi Arabia. Anyways, at first, my point being that money changes people. At first, Miss Deb tried all day and night long, starting July 1st, 2023, to get me married to her daughter. My brain savant was not able to be unlocked on time. Thankfully, I did not marry her daughter. And so Miss Deb, instead what she does is she basically after seeing that her daughter married someone else and I wasn't going for her daughter, she basically tried to enviously lock up my brain savant by saying very terrible things about me, that my brain savant should be locked up because people of my religion have done bad things in this world, things of that certain nature, just to get my brain savant locked up, only for Miss Deb to now on June 17 at 10:32 p.m. try to send ads for her daughter saying that my brain savant's about to get unlocked, to try to kick out her son-in-law to get me married to her daughter. Money changes people, and they become extremely envious and greedy. That's what I said about Miss Deb on day one when she was arguing against me in court. People had a hard time believing it. Well, now you see it for yourselves. Basically, yeah, Miss Deb knew about my entire history. She used to watch me work at Sam's Club Pharmacy with a broken shoe, and I didn't have money to buy myself a new pair of shoes, even though it costed $20 at Walmart. I had to save every single penny I could to go sleep on the side of the streets near my overseas pharmacy school. Miss Deb knew about that fact very well. But when it comes to envy and greed for money, people change. Anyways, so basically what happened was all of their talking points are out. Law enforcement tried to frame me for a wedding incident in 2023, one that I could not be present in. Poverty was a blessing in disguise for me. I did not go to most weddings that took place, like Assad's sister's wedding in 2003, or the wedding that was in question. They could be the Assad's sister's wedding from 2003. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, I could not afford to go, because my mother worked at fast food restaurants, and literally the nearby fast food restaurants, because she couldn't even drive anywhere. So me going to a wedding was out of the question. The only place I went to was a community pool, which I even stopped going to as soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, due to realizing how hard my mother was going, and me feeling so depressed that I never went to the community pool anymore. So that is my story. Now that all their talking points are all found out, the wedding incident I could not be present in due to poverty being a blessing in disguise for me. Law enforcement, after August 25th, 2023, when I straight out told them that I won my case and I want to be able to study now using my brain savant, I know you have a brain scanner and I know you know about my brain savant, since everyone in this city knows and I'm not stupid. Law enforcement then tried to frame me for a wedding incident, due to which I just told them I could not afford to go to this wedding. But now you've just confessed to a crime you covered up and thus committed. Thank you very much for letting me know about that. So now basically, excuse me, law enforcement confessed to a crime that they had committed in the year 2023. And then there were numerous other things that they tried to frame me for. Mid-January 2026, a child testifying 25 years later, a 10-year-old child testifying 25 years later that I said some anti-government things to him. Yeah. Pretty much when I was a 10-year-old child, somewhere around there, 10, 11, I was supposed to be saying anti-government things to children at my elementary school. Everything was fake. Obviously, law enforcement fabricated it, except for that November 20th that law enforcement knew was being fabricated before I even went to Russia. And so basically, yeah. that was also fabricated, and except for that, you had numerous more fabrications from law enforcement, lies that they were happily seeing my dad, the greedy framer, and his favorite sister saying, all fabricated, confessed to the government informant as being lies. Second set of lies, I had already told the courts, you're being played for a fool. The courts were forced to retrieve phone conversations before the results came out. I told the court straight out, let me tell you guys something. Might surprise you. The results from that phone conversations, it's going to come out and say that every single thing my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sister said, complete and total lie, and that's what came out. These phone conversations basically had to be retrieved right after my dad tried to greedily get me to commit incest with his big fat ugly sister named Farah the Freedomer on March 7th 3 times, even though on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. he was already told that this is a form of incest, that you're sending an advertisement with a porn star's picture with your sister's name on it. He didn't care. March 7th he was caught with more lies. After November 20th, he's not going to let that money for my brain savant potential going to my mother that artificial intelligence has marked as most rare and profitable in the world. He's not going to let that money go to my mother. All right, he doesn't care if he's sending me a porn star's picture or what. And then March 10th 2026, offering the big fat ugly old predator framer sends me a sexually explicit picture of a woman resembling her that day and every single day afterwards. Yes, this is how desperate these disgusting individuals were for money. When they found out that this greedy tactics were not working, they sent me, they made more lies against me very aggressively, and I knew that they were making more lies against me very aggressively because I rejected their request. And I told them what kind of sick, disgusting individuals they were to try these tactics to try to get illegal assurances of money from me. And I told them straight out, you won't get a penny out of me. You can do whatever the heck you feel like doing. And so I said heck, by the way. I never used the bad words. But like, so afterwards, they made more lies against me. And they made more lies against me and very aggressively, and I knew they were making them very aggressively because they were angry. So many lies were caught November 20th, and then the first set of lies were caught because they didn't want to tell each other that they'd already confessed these lies to being lies to the government informant. Those were caught, and then they tried greedy tactics to try to get me to commit incest in exchange for illegal assurances of money, and I was just like, there's no way I'm giving you people a single penny. You could do whatever the heck you feel like doing. And so after that, I knew they would go into rage of anger and try more lies, and they did. And before the phone conversations came out for this time, I told the courts right away, I was like, Your Honor, everything this man, my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters have said very aggressively, you're just going to find out right now, were all complete and total lies, and that's exactly what happened. It came out as being complete and total lies. They were played for a fool again. You better believe it. And so basically, yeah, this is the story behind it. No one has any talking points. For narrators, no one has any talking points. Law enforcement cannot even, they have all their fabrications caught. Okay, for the greedy framer, all her lies are all caught November 20th. The ones afterwards were confessed to the government informant. The ones afterwards caught with phone conversations retrieved. What's his name? Her name, Ms. Deb. She kind of gave up and started advertising her daughter to me, and so law enforcement, yeah, their false testimonies have all been caught. So you have someone like Assad, and it's really funny, and I feel like it's just amusing to see someone like Assad walk over to court, and I was so happy when that happened, and I told the court right there and then, I was like, yeah, I'm glad that Assad came over. He's going to help me make a point very loud and clear to the court. The fact of the matter is, law enforcement's been BFFs with every single adult who could have been involved in every single thing bad that was occurring. And not only would law enforcement be involved and know them, law enforcement would be BFFs with these individuals like you would not believe. That's exactly what happened at the end. Assad was found to have been involved in pretty much everything, including that wedding incident that law enforcement was trying to frame me for. Assad was present. He was fully involved. Whatever Bush Act was trying to tell me in the year 2019 that law enforcement never cared about, since they were in 2023, they were running money, fraud, and sex schemes. Assad would know about, and he would know about much more, never report a single thing, involved in certain things like the wedding incident. He would be a criminal in that incident, in the wedding incident. I can guarantee you that much. He was always present in every wedding. He was BFFs with all the adults. Not only was he BFFs with all the adults, he would always be standing ahead and behind them, walking with them a feet away throughout the entire time. Assad would definitely be involved in the criminal activity, whatever it could be at the wedding. And this is how law enforcement has handled it. They could not care a thing about it. Basically, people like Assad who would be involved in crimes at the wedding incident, I can guarantee you he'd be ahead and behind everyone that could commit the crime, and he would be committing the crime himself, involved in it completely. We know that it's a crime since law enforcement would flash me with severe mental torture drugs every time a wedding was mentioned in the year 2023. So basically, it's the fact that, yeah, this is how law enforcement's handled every single bad situation, and Assad is a prime example of this fact. Assad was narrating in this trial despite being involved in the wedding incident crime completely. He knew about everything, including what Bushehr Akhtar was trying to tell me in 2019 I could not know about. Ever since I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, now the facts and evidences will prove this. All I've done in life is work hard with my mother, as poverty was a blessing in disguise for me. And so when law enforcement tried to frame me for this wedding incident, I told them straight out right there and then, I could not afford to go there, since the farthest I could go is a community pool. My mother worked at fast food restaurants, but thank you very much for telling me about a crime that you law enforcement committed by covering over it. And I could also guarantee that narrators like Assad would be involved in it as well. So basically, right now we have, 4 narrators, all 4 of them out. My dad, the greedy framers. First of all, it was law enforcement. The year 2023, they tried to be the narrator in their trial after running sex schemes and money fraud the entire year of 2023, helping Uncle Joey with his sex scheme at the funeral in November 2023 so aggressively that Parvez Elahi started quoting him foreign statesmen, thinking that Uncle Joey was some BFF of law enforcement, tried to curry favor with law enforcement. He started quoting Uncle Joey with the words Asan Faramosh, meaning ungrateful child, out of anger that I wasn't helping them with their sex scheme ad. So basically, 2023 law enforcement wanted to be the narrator, only that they confessed before they tried to frame me for a wedding incident that I never had anything to do with, not present in the wedding. No one invited me and my mother over to their house to tell us secrets about any weddings or anything of that sort of nature. That law enforcement was kicked out of the narrator stand after 2023. They could not do so. After that, you have my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters, all working for the invalid motive of wanting to lock up my brain savant, because my dad, the greedy framer, knew that I wasn't going to give him a single penny, and artificial intelligence had marked my brain savant as being literally the most rare in the world, which is why law enforcement was doing everything. They never ran a quote-unquote investigation to begin with. But now that they found out about my brain savant and all these people, like all these girls and everything, running after it, they wanted to enviously lock it up and then murder me using false testimonies and lies out of extreme envy, nothing else. So except for sex and money, law enforcement's other motive is extreme envy, especially like if you find out someone being a triple savant, artificial intelligence marked it as such, and you see girls running after this guy, and the best girl that you ever ran after is like someone's 50-year-old aunt that you ran after so badly that I don't even know what. But anyways, basically law enforcement became extremely envious, and they wanted to lock up my brain savant, and basically they wanted to lock up my brain savant and literally just like try to murder me over it. So basically law enforcement was kicked out, and my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters were also kicked out. They were all kicked out. 2 of the narrators were basically all kicked out. And now you have the third set of narrator, Assad. He was absolutely guilty in everything as an adult. And I said it day one, and at the end of the day, we find that out. And he simply packs up his stuff and leaves. Yeah. Like, no questions asked about any wedding incidents that he was obviously present in and involved in. No questions asked at the end of the day when he's literally just packing up his stuff and leaving. This is how law enforcement ran their quote-unquote investigation. And then the 4th narrator, obviously, is Miss Deb. Miss Deb has been switching sides again right now, June 17th, 10:32 a.m., trying to get me married to her daughter, Ashley. It was all about envy and greed. Envy for locking up my brain savant so no one else's daughter could have it, to now greed of trying to get me married to her daughter, which obviously I said no to, because the things that she said about me, extremely racist and bad, especially considering the fact that I used to work 2 jobs with Miss Deb, and Miss Deb saw how hard I worked, and she saw like I had a broken shoe, and she would look at it, and I always hoped that she wouldn't see it, and she would look at it and she would be like, "Son, you're going to be a rich man someday." And that same Miss Deb changed with money, the prospect of money. She changed first at trying to get me married to her daughter all day and night long in the year 2024, and then later on, when she saw that I wasn't going for her daughter and her daughter was married, she switched over from greed to envy to wanting to lock it up, using very terrible things she said about me, that people of my religion did bad things, so my brain savant should be locked up, to now Miss Deb wanting me on June 17th at 10:32 p.m., sending me Ashley's furniture ad, to greedily going back to greed, to trying to get me married to her daughter, who's already married, by the way. She wants to basically kick out her son-in-law for me. Yeah, so basically all 4 narrators have been kicked out, and the only talking point that law enforcement might have is that they'll say that when I was an 11-year-old child and the word occurred that someone might have said something bad around me. The entire story that law enforcement is not telling everyone is the fact that law enforcement never cared a thing about anything anyone could have said about me, and I would only be present in that setting. Excuse me, they're not letting me talk. I would only be present in that setting. They're hitting different parts of my foot and stuff. And so basically, I would only be present in that setting as a child, and not even a mentally mature enough child yet in the world. And basically, yeah, not even a mentally mature enough child in the world yet. And if anyone said anything bad around me, law enforcement never cared a thing, since they were running their sex games with Uncle Joey's in-laws since the year 2001. And basically, yeah, and money fraud that started later on, that both run till this very day today. Money is still being transferred right now as we speak. So basically, that is the story, and law enforcement is not going to use these talking points. Instead, they're going to give it to someone like Farah the Greedy Framer, who is also trying to run after me right now. Just yesterday, June 20th, she sent me at 3:13 p.m. the same ad for her abnormal-looking, ugly daughter named Zara, to try to get me married to her. The reason law enforcement would give it to someone like Farah the Greedy Framer is because Farah the Greedy Framer has a very invalid motive for trying to lock up my brain savant, mainly because she knows that I'm not going for her abnormal looking ugly daughter, and she was trying to run after me the entire year of 2024 with Hercules, Harbor Freight ads, and all these ads all year 2024, Sheba Fancy Feast, cat food, everything. Farah the Greedy Framer saw that I was rejecting her daughter the entire year of 2024, due to which now it's just like she's trying to run after me for her daughter. And so that really shows it. But the main reason is just the fact that, you know, November 20th, 2025 really proves to the entire world how good Farah the Greedy Framer is at fabricating false testimonies against individuals.